Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time you happen to be watching this. Today we are going to sort of just put a bow on Chapter 6. Just going to kind of give you some greatest hits of the remaining topics. I'm not going to go as in-depth as we probably could, but just given the present circumstances, we're just going to give kind of a broad overview of the remainder of the chapter. So, these notes will actually cover parts of 6.4 and 6.5, and your homework problems will come out of both of those sections. But I'm going to kind of divert from the book a little bit and just kind of tell you what I think you should know. So for 6.4, the book calls it, what do they call it? Forms 1040 EZ and 1040A. We're going to cross that out though. And really what 6.4 is talking about is settling up with the government. Settling up with the government. Okay. So we talked about last time that the W-2, which is for you, tells you all of your earnings throughout the year, and it tells you what the taxes that were withheld during the year. Okay, so just to remind you, here's Mr. Smith's summer earnings. This is what I earned. This is what was withheld. And so 6.4 is figuring out, okay, where does this leave me, the taxes that I paid, with regard to what I should have paid? Do I owe more to the government or do I get something back? Because remember, each time you get a paycheck, your employer is kind of guessing, kind of estimating what your year-end earnings will be and taxing you based on that. And it's always going to be a little bit off. Very, very rarely do you end up totally square and don't owe any money. What we're going to do is when you file your taxes, which is what most people would be getting ready to do right about now in a normal year, because usually they're due April 15th. This year, that deadline has been extended due to the crisis in our world. But generally, when you file your taxes, you report all your earnings, the main source of which will be your W-2, but there are, which we didn't really touch on, there are other tax forms where you can report your earnings. If you're a contractor, you might have a 1099, you can have interest earning statements, but the W-2 is kind of the most common. You report all your earnings and your taxes paid throughout the year. So you report all your earnings and your taxes paid throughout the year. The difference, because there's basically always a difference, it's very rarely that those two numbers are the same. So the difference between the taxes you already paid and what you should have paid determines if you owe taxes or get a refund. Okay, so there's two outcomes. When you do this accounting at the end of the year where you're looking at your W-2, you're looking at what your taxes paid were, and then you're calculating, okay, this is what, based on my annual income this year, this is what I should have paid. The difference is going to either make you have to write a check to the government for the money you should have paid them, or the government writes you a check for the money that you overpaid. Okay, so the two outcomes are refund you overpaid taxes, and then you get money back, or if you owe, that means you underpaid. You have to pay. Okay, so one of two outcomes. Either you get a refund or you owe a little bit more. I mentioned this when we were in class together. There tends to be this feeling that getting a refund is a good thing. Like, oh, I'm getting money from the government. Okay? And that to owe money is a bad thing. It really is all kind of relative. Because if you're getting a refund, yeah, it's fun to get a check, but what that means is that that money should have been yours earlier in the year. Okay? Let's say it's $1,000. You should have had $1,000 earlier in the year to spend or to invest. So a refund you should really think of as, oh, that's lost interest on money that I should have already had. If you owe, yeah, it's a bummer to have to fork over $1,000 if that's the case. But you had that $1,000 earlier in the year when you shouldn't necessarily have had it. So I don't want you to have in your head that one is good and one is bad. Really, the best case is $0. And so as close as you can get to a small refund or owing a small amount, that means you did a good job throughout the year, or your employer did with estimating what you owed. Okay? So the way we're just going to work with this is very simple. 6.4 has some examples where you're given a person and you're told what their federal tax withholdings were throughout the year, so what they were taxed as they were paid, and then you're told what they should owe based on their year-end earnings, and you're just figuring out which of these two options do we fall in. Okay, so pretty straightforward. I'm not going to try to complicate it too much. And so I'll just do number 2 from the exercises. And then your homework, or part of your homework, is going to be a few more like that. So our example will be from number 2 in 6.4. Which is page 366. Okay. And what it says is that William's employer withheld $13,956.95 in federal income tax. Okay. So the amount withheld was $13,956.95. So withheld means paid throughout the year. However, after William filed his taxes or filed his return, he determined that his responsibility for that year was actually tax responsibility was only $11,874.82. So the withheld is the paid amount, the tax responsibility is the should have paid. Now we have to ask ourselves, which of these two outcomes did William fall into? Did he overpay or did he underpay? Well, clearly he overpaid, okay, because he withheld almost $14,000 in taxes, but what he should have paid was closer to $12,000. So he is going to definitely get a refund here, okay? And the refund amount is for the exact difference between what he paid and what he should have paid. So the question just asks, does he get a refund, or does he owe money? And the answer is he gets a refund. And the amount of the refund will be $13,956.95 minus $11,874.82. Which comes out to, and we're told to round to the nearest dollar. Let's bust out the calculator. So we got 13,956.95 minus 11,874.82. So 2,082.13. Which rounded to the nearest dollar is 2,082 bucks. Okay, so he's going to get a check from the government for $2,082, which again, resist the urge to say, oh, that's good, like he's going to get $2,000. Well, no, this is already his money. He should have had it throughout the year while he was giving the government too much money. So each paycheck, he was getting shorted. He should have gotten more. And this is just the government kind of squaring up, settling up. But it's not like this is money that he didn't earn. This should have been his already. Okay. So the remainder of the homework is just like this. Okay. Doesn't get any more complicated than this. I just want us to get used to this idea of when you file your taxes, all we're doing, and it can get complicated as you try to figure out what the tax responsibility is, which is what we're going to get to in 6.5. But at the end of the day, you're just doing a comparison of two numbers. What did you pay? What should you have paid? And what's the difference? If this number is bigger than this number, you're getting money back. But if this number, the tax responsibility, is bigger than what you paid, then you're going to have to pony up the money to make that right. Okay? But at the end of the day, that's all the taxes are, is just settling those two numbers. And it gets super, super complicated, or can, when we're trying to figure out what this tax responsibility is. But once you've done that, it's a very simple comparison. So let's not make it more complicated than it needs to be. Actually, in that light, I want to keep these notes somewhat manageably short. So we're going to call that the end of 6.4. I'll do a separate video for 6.5. So what I want you to do is upload these notes to get credit for taking the notes, and then we'll also do a homework assignment that will be pretty short and sweet. So we'll call it 6.4 homework, which will be on page 366. It'll be all just kind of like this. We'll do numbers. Let's do numbers 3 through 8. And so this will be a separate assignment. And again, upload those when you're done. All right, sounds good.